Rik Mehta is running for election to the U.S. House to represent New Jersey's 6th Congressional District. He is on the ballot in the Republican primary on June 7, 2022. Mehta's campaign website describes him as a biotech entrepreneur, innovator, and healthcare policy expert, as well as a licensed attorney and pharmacist. Sam Raval is an Indian-born American. His website describes him as an engineer, event organizer, actor, and an everyday man, running in column E to become the next county commissioner for Middlesex County, New Jersey. Welcome to ITV Gold Studio, gentlemen. Let's get the ball rolling. So, I will start alternatively with you first, Rik. Edwin Forsyth was the last Republican who won the District 6 and represented it from 1970 to January 1983. Since then, no Republican has won the district. Democrat Frank Pallone has represented it since 1993 to present. So the obvious question to you, Rik, what makes you think you can win against Frank Pallone?
Yeah, well, Nidhi, it's a pleasure to be here. Let me tell you, 34 years in politics is too long. He's building a career in politics, but something dynamic has happened right here in New Jersey. In this district, in the 6th district, we have the highest concentration of Indian Americans than any congressional district in the entire country. And Frank Pallone is a nice guy, but he's become irrelevant when it comes to the needs of the people. And I'll tell you, Rik Mehta knows how to represent this community that I've been involved in for so many years. My father-in-law building businesses. In fact, when my parents came here, my father immigrated here with only $100 in his pocket from India. We had to work hard. And our story is much like everyone in New Jersey. It's about hard work and humble beginnings, and the belief that the American dream is available to anyone willing to chase it. I have chased it, Nidhi, and I'm telling you right now, I'm going to chase it until I become your next congressman here in the 6th District.
My fingers are crossed. So I'll come to you next, Sam. New Jersey is a very small state, yet it is overpopulated, not with people, but with government. In fact, with governments. It has 25 times more municipalities, school boards, and personnel. Then it has 20 times more elected officials. Here, politicians can have 2 to 3 salaries, can be in the legislative and executive branch, as well as can hold no-show state, county, municipal jobs to build a hefty pension to legally loot the taxpayers. In 38 states of America, it is banned, and in Indiana, holding 2 offices is a Class D felony, at par with drug possession and punishable by up to 3 years in prison. Why is it allowed in New Jersey? What does New Jersey have? 564 municipal governments, 21 county governments, and 1 state government with 10,000 elected representatives and 600,000 employees for 8.8 million residents. Delhi, capital of India, has only 85,000 employees for 30 million people in contrast. Sam, what's your take on this?
Thank you, Nidhi, for this question.
It's a very long question.
Yeah, I know. But I will tell you in a little bit of smaller version of my answer. So my thing is I'm running for the county commissioner for the Middlesex County. And there are 25 municipalities in the Middlesex County. And I can see that there are lots of administrative work and lots of administrative people are there to work there. There are excess of that things, And that's what I am thinking, that being a county commissioner, we have to divide the work according to our staff, but not according to the people. So what I am thinking, that minimum staff with maximum work, which we are thinking for giving to the government, and that is how can we achieve this one? We can achieve with the public and government participations. On that ground, I am running for the county commissioners to minimize the government expenses with the maximize the efforts which we are doing right now. So that's what our party is doing right now.
Rik, what kind of legal immigration policy do you support?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, Nidhi, this is a really important question and very timely right now. I'll tell you right now, we have people that come here on visas and their children continue to outlive the visa process. So we have to work on making sure that we're attracting, that our visa policies continue to attract the right people. We got to make sure that we close our borders, continue to build, protections against illegal immigration, and allow for the caps to be risen so that those that come to this country legally, the best and the brightest mind, the reason America has become so beautiful over the years is because immigrants who have come here create innovation, creating jobs, but you have to do it through the legal process. My policies will continue to revamp the visa system, the immigration system, so that we can actually focus on bolstering legal immigration while completely shutting down illegal immigration.
This term which came up recently, do you agree with replacement theory?
The replacement theory is, both dangerous on both sides. You have critical race theory, replacement theory. What we need to do is we need to start moving away against terms that continue to segregate our people, segregate our children. What we really need to focus on is actual educational systems that benefit the children while empowering parents to continue to allow them to raise their children based on the value systems that we want for our community. And this is really important. There's a lot of indoctrination theories going on right here at the local levels and continuing to segregate our children based on race ideology. This is not 1969 when my father immigrated here. It's 2022. We got to be better than that. We have to look past that. At the end of the day, we are all one people and we are all Americans. And I got to tell you, I am very proud to be an American.
Sam, what makes you think in a heavily Democratic county you can win?
In heavily Democratic county, we can win if we give the right efforts. Because here, that since last 30 years, the Democrats are there in the power in the New Jersey, and people are immigrants. They don't think that this is they are thinking that this Democratic Party is the right party for them, but actually they don't think about the ideology on the Democratic Party, because Democratic Party are always centralized themselves, not to the public. And that's what I am thinking, that if we come into the power as a commissioner and as any other positions, we need to rectify these things in the New Jersey area, because there are so many things which we need to improve while the current administrations are not doing their job, and that's why we are trying for our community. Thank you, Nidhi.
Rik, what do you plan to do with 11.7 illegal immigrants as per the government record in the USA? Although some say it could be 14 to 15 million.
Yeah. Well, Nidhi, I want to actually address the question you asked the same. I think this is critical about how Democrats are going to lose really badly this year. Let me tell you, people are tired of the Democrat policies that are creating food shortages, labor shortages, inflation that we've never seen in years, a crushed economy, potential recession, selling our land to China and continue to have fear and threats from communist countries like China. It's ridiculous. The Biden administration has sold out the American people. Even Democrats and unaffiliated. Now, let me tell you, there are equal number of unaffiliated independent voters as there are Democrats. They are leaning towards Republicans this year because they want to improve the economy. Now, you mentioned the question about illegal immigration, very critical. We waste billions of dollars on illegal immigration every year. We're the only country that has these ridiculously porous borders. We got to get to the determinants of why so many people want to flock to our country and what's really wrong with their home country. Why do we not improve the trade, maybe bring some of that manufacturing back from China into our own country and continue to improve our trade negotiations with countries that have our best interests like Mexico and India and Israel, rather than benefiting and creating incentives for communist countries like China, North Korea, Venezuela, where there's dictators. We got to stop the nonsense of the madness. We can improve the economy of Mexico and while still at the same time allowing for the Mexican people people to keep their best and brightest in their own country without flocking to our borders. We don't need it. We're going to stop it, and we're going to improve legal immigration and stop illegal immigration.
But what about the immigrants who are already here illegally?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, you know, one by one, we're going to have to make sure that they get back home to where their home is, you know, and that's important because a lot of them do want to go back home. But the problem is that the conditions at their home is so deplorable. The problem is because there's a lot of corruption in these countries. And so one of the things we need to do is get to the bottom of why so many foreign governments have corrupt practices. And we can do that. But we got to first start with our own country. And that's why we're running on an America First platform. We believe in integrity in our election system, and we got to make sure that we preserve our republic in the way we vote and our constitutional rights. We focus on that. We got to lead by example. Other countries will follow.
Sam, just to run 25 municipal governments and 1 county government, the cost is too high. There's hardly any money left to be spent on better services for the residents and offer them lower property tax and better schools. What's your take on that?
Thank you, Nidhi, for this question, because this is a very complex and administrative question. So I would like to take that being a commissioner, it is our duty to give the best to the county people, right? So if there is a much expenses for the municipalities and we need to make up those expenses, we need to generate the income for the county. So how we can generate the income? We need to invite the business people, we need to invite the business persons to our county to make the business. At the same time, we need to see that there is not overcrowded our county. So those are the things we need to take care of that one. So we are running for the 4 platforms like the economy, education, energy independence, and the election integrity. So these are the all 4 factors we need to consider. At the same time, we need to see the administrative cost for these counties, because there are 25 municipalities, and those municipalities are heavily facing the problem with financing, and those municipalities are facing the problems with finance. We need to generate the finance. How? There are some ways, like same thing like that. We can have the special economic zone for the business purposes, right? So in those economic zones, we can invite the people, outside companies. They have some tax benefits on that one, and then we can create the employment. We can create so many businesses. So this is what I am thinking at present. Thank you.
Rik, what are your views on current foreign policies of America, and if elected, what changes do you want?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let me tell you, my views on foreign policy are starkly different than Frank Pallone. Let me tell you what Frank Pallone believes in. He believes in supporting Iran and the Iranian deal against the people of Israel. He supports China, in fact, cutting deals to allow for most of our medical manufacturing to head over to China right out of New Jersey. Rik Mehta, I support freedom-loving countries like India and Israel. And that's what I support. I think we need to support and increase our military size to make sure that America continues to be the #1 global power in the entire world. At the same time, I support making sure we have free trade deals and keeping a freedom of trade among countries that have our best interests. You know what I don't support? I don't support communist regimes like China, who continues to outsize their navy while all the same time creating viral threats to our countries, destabilizing governments, and at the same time creating aggression in the Indian Ocean and the South China Sea towards Australia and other countries. You know what I don't support? I don't support dictators like Venezuela, where Frank Pallone has been completely weak and inept in terms of dealing with the real threats that we have. What we need is strong leadership in Washington that's going to roll up their sleeves and continue to support free trade and foreign policy and make sure that globalization doesn't continue to eat Americans' lunches.
Great. Sam, what is your plan to reduce county tax in the property tax component of the Middlesex County residents?
Thank you, Nidhi. Actually, you know that I am the new for this politics, and I never been into this administrative work for any county. I only know to manage my house, right? So any person who is managing their house very well, they can manage the bigger house like a county. So what I will do, that I know in my house there are some expenses are heavily doing expenses, right? And those expenses we need to cut it down as per our income. So the same thing happened with the county. There are money flow is coming in and money flow is going out. So the both things we need to manage according to the requirements and the priority of the county and county people. So I will do whatever the steps we require, because I am a common man and I understand the problems of the common people in the county, and I hope that all the county people will be living happily in my administration work. So thank you, Nidhi. Thank you for this question.
Great. Rik, do you think foreign policy must include human rights and religious freedom while dealing with foreign countries? If they are oppressive regimes, should the US give or not give any aid to them?
Great question. Absolutely. Again, in contrast to Frank Pallone, I believe in human rights. I believe in religious freedom. In fact, I believe religious freedom in America leading that, because it is our fundamental constitutional rights. There are so many atrocities going across the world in countries like China, in which we continue to give aid. And we sent $40 billion over to Ukraine, and we continue to have no problems writing checks to foreign governments without accountability. What we need to do is continue to support our own religious freedoms right here at home. If we don't support constitutional rights, then how can we preach about religious freedoms and humanitarian issues, right? And so one of the things that's going on right here in our educational system is that our religious freedoms for educational rights continues to be trampled on. We saw that more pronounced with COVID and vaccine mandates, and we continue to see that where parental rights are being replaced by government being interfering in the way we raise our children. You see that right here in my own district at Rutgers University, that continues to employ these atrocious anti-Hindu professors and anti-Semitic professors that continue to indoctrinate students with these evil ideologies to continue to attack, saying that if you're religious, then you must be some kind of zealot and right wing. There continues to be an attack on Hinduism, on Judaism, and religions, Christianity, all across the world. America must continue to protect religious freedom. Frank Pallone does not get it. He hasn't gotten it. He's more concerned about his own self-interest and his own career building of his own career in politics that he's done for 34 years. What we need are authentic leaders that 100% support the First Amendment religious freedoms.
More than anything, I do see Islamophobia happening everywhere.
Yeah.
How do you plan to control that?
Yeah, it falls under the same context of protecting religious freedom. Nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, should ever be persecuted for practicing their religion or teaching that religion to their children. And if America can't protect that, and if we continue to have inept congressional folks like Frank Pallone or Cory Booker that doesn't understand that religious freedom is our #1 way to create a value system, right now, I'll tell you, this election in 2022 is one of the most important elections because our culture, our family values continues to be ripped into this polarization where Democrats continue to take away our constitutional rights and replace it with governmental control. And those constitutional rights start with religious freedom. So when you talk about Islamophobia, you talk about Hinduphobia, you talk about anti-Semitism, and you remember the shootings in Jersey City against the poor Jewish members of the community, and you see the attacks on the mosques and the attacks on the temples, and in fact you see attacks in the churches as well. You know that something is going wrong in our country. 34 years is way too long for one person to be in power that has the absolute right to do something about it but sat on his hands.
Sam, will you propose to cut down the number of municipal governments from 25 to say 10 to 15 to make it more cost effective?
Nidhi, frankly speaking, I would not do that one because the current administrations are there and they are doing their best. I can say they are doing their best, but they are failed to do give the best. So I would like to run the system as it is with my capabilities and my expertise, and I will try to give that better amendment for my administration running with that 25 municipalities. So I would like to.
But then how will you bring about tax cuts for the people when you have so many employees to pay?
Yeah, we can. There are some ways to cut the taxes because when so many employees are there, Like I can tell you one thing, that there is a one person is doing the multiple jobs right now. This is the job market is like that. The one person can do multiple jobs. So why we keep the two people for the one job, right? So on that ground, we can cut down some of the employment, but at the same time, we don't want those people to be unemployed, right? So we need to create a job market for those people who are unemployed, and at the same time, we need to maintain our expenses.
Great. Rik, what are your views on gun laws?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll tell you right now, first of all, my heart goes out to the parents and the families that have to suffer through this unnecessary continued acts of violence against our children in Uvalde, Texas, Parkland, Sandy Hook. The insanity, mental health issues that are going on in this country has to stop, and it has to be addressed. One of the primary reasons of increased mental health issues that's gone on in our country over the last couple years is because of social isolation. Now, I got to tell you, Nidhi, now I didn't mention this. I'm a healthcare professional, licensed pharmacist, practiced for many years before I went back to law school and spent a decade at the FDA. I've seen public health policy. In fact, I'm a law professor at Georgetown where I teach health law and policy. Okay? Right now, violent acts created and done by people that continue to suffer from mental health related issues or issues related to social isolation because of unnecessary lockdowns, those issues have to continue to be addressed. There's nothing more important to me, and while I wear a lot of hats, the two that I'm most proud of is being a husband and a father first. And as a father of 3 children, my heart breaks at hearing these continued unnecessary senses of violence that continues to go on. I got to tell you, though, the Second Amendment, it's something that I support. I support it because in fact, year over year, they continue to show that in areas that have concealed carry, you actually reduce homicide rates, especially in urban areas. What we haven't done is taken a meaningful approach to protecting our children. The President of the United States, protected by armed military, armed guards. Our foreign dignitaries, same thing. Our students, doors wide open and an inept security response system. Until we address the determinants of these violent acts, until we stop unnecessary lockdowns, until we actually put meaningful research into mental health and start to address these issues, we are going to continue to suffer at the hands of lunatics, and it can't be, Nidhi. We got to solve this problem.
True. Yeah. Sam, the rich towns in the county do not want to build affordable housing in their towns for low-income groups and pay money to the towns that are already busting to the seams and starving for funds to have more low-income residents. Don't you think it is a racial discrimination?
Definitely, I can tell you, Nidhi, this is the questions which I am not much aware, but I can tell you that this is definitely the issue which we need to resolve, because definitely we don't accept any racism in this our country, and we are here to work for the people, not for any kind of special group or any kind of special religion, right? So we are definitely looking to that issue, and we have the same people with the same level of the people. We treat the people at the same level. As a commissioner or as an administration work, we cannot discriminate at all. So we need to generate for them the low income houses as well as the income from them also. Great. So thank you very much.
Rik, has President Trump endorsed you?
Nidhi, great question. I got to tell you, in 2020, when I ran for U.S. Senate as your Republican U.S. Senate nominee, I had the distinct pleasure of running with President Trump. Between 2016 and 2020, we had a thriving economy. We had low gas prices. We had the lowest unemployment rate among Black and brown Americans in the entire country. We had a thriving economy. Entrepreneurs were flourishing. No supply chain shortages, a powerful workforce, and we were the dominant force as a global leader for America. So, I would welcome President Trump's endorsement. He has not endorsed me yet to be seen. We still have a couple weeks till June 7th, but running with President Trump was the greatest honor of my life. And I got to tell you, like I said, one thing we're doing, and the reason why Sam and I are running on the America First platform, is because we believe that America is the greatest country. But in order for America to continue to be the greatest country for democracy and for our American dream, we need authentic leaders, not leaders that are going to build their career in politics, much like Frank Pallone. We need people who are going to go there, roll up their sleeves, do their job, and then get out. And that's exactly what I plan to do.
Great, great. Gentlemen, thank you so much for talking to ITV Gold. We wish you all the success and power to the Republican Party to bring in the positive change for the residents of New Jersey. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nidhi. Thank you very much.